Archaeologists have estimated there's around 100 uncontacted tribes left in the wild, with most of these being hidden in the dense jungles of New Guinea and the Amazon.
That's a lot.
Although it's hard to believe that there's uncontacted tribes, every year researchers are also discovering hidden civilizations that have been lost to time. Incredibly, new equipment is giving us the opportunity to look past things like the dense jungles, which up until now have stopped us from exploring certain regions further. In fact, just recently scientists discovered pyramids in the Amazon rainforest, which revealed to researchers that we still have a lot to learn. A few days ago, some interesting photographs made their way online, allegedly showing an explorer finding a lost civilization. Although the photographs' origins are not known, with some saying that they're fake, others decided to believe the photographs and suggested that it may be proof of a lost civilization. A few dozen photographs were uploaded to social media, going into detail about a man's venture through the jungle.
I would be skeptical about the photographs as well if they look like this with all the high quality cameras and everything we have, cell phones today. I would be a little skeptical too.
The images in question match those taken from the time of Percy Fawcett, a British explorer who also ventured into the wilderness in the hopes of finding a lost city. The man's camera was said to have only been found recently, and that the incredible images are what was left. They show mysterious creatures along with indigenous people, which some suggested is proof that the explorer succeeded in what they set out to do.
Okay, so this makes sense. This came from his camera. They was like a recent photo just went viral, and I was like, looking like that? I'd be skeptical, but a long lost camera showing these pictures from that, then okay, cool. I'm with you now.
It's not known where the images were taken, but several online users said that some of the carvings that are in the photographs don't resemble anything they know, suggesting that the explorer stumbled across a hidden civilization. One photograph allegedly showed one of the natives. The individual in question has deep-set eyes, a large brow ridge and also hair covering the majority of his body. Those who saw these images said they may be one of the first uncontacted civilizations that's been contacted by modern man, and said that it looked as if they were living in a time that hadn't been affected by modern technology or modern...
It also looked like he got I know some of y'all have been watching me for a minute, so we talked about the elongated skulls. He looked like he could possibly have one.
laws. Another photograph showed alleged tribe members, although some suggested that these could have been decorated tribal creations. This photograph shows a large construction that looks similar to ancient temples that have been discovered. Some said that the impressive design looks similar to the famous space shuttle rocket. This photograph showed a mysterious creature, although many couldn't agree on what it was, with some suggesting that it was an undiscovered species, while others said that it appeared to have been created using mud and tree sticks. Not much is known about the photographs or who took them, which many users were disappointed by, and it's hard to find the origins of the photographs. Doing a reverse image search doesn't bring anything up. Although these photographs are interesting and show what appears to be a civilization lost to time, other users suggested that they were created using an AI program.
Wait a minute, do y'all see that? Look, let me see if I can go back a little bit. Go back right here. Does that not look like another something in the background as well? I wonder if anybody picked up on that.
What appears to be a civilization lost to time. Other users suggested that they were created using an AI program. Oftentimes scientists hold the sentiment that the human race is the only species on our planet that has heightened intelligence capable of building civilizations and making tools available for complex tasks, regarding the human race as the apex predator of the planet. Oddly enough, there appears to be consistent reports made from countries around the world concerning undiscovered hidden creatures that demonstrate evolutionary niches to keep themselves hidden from the growing developments of the human race. Could there be other creatures equal to humans in intelligence found in hidden ecological niches?
Good question.
Percy Fawcett caught wind of giant creatures that allegedly lived in the jungles of our world. Natives of the Amazon reported seeing large serpent-like creatures, and would often try to avoid them at all costs, as every time they got close or tried to stop them they would usually be eaten. Percy was allegedly able to track down villagers, but said they didn't like the idea of tracking down one of these giant snakes, saying that if one was spotted close to their village, instead of trying to get rid of it they would just leave the area. Percy Fawcett went on to detail his encounter with the giant snake. He said the following: "We were drifting along the slow current, when almost under the bow of the boat there appeared to be a triangular head. It was a giant anaconda. I sprang for my rifles as the creature began to make its way up the bank. My guides were scared for their life, but I managed to persuade them to turn towards the shore. These giant creatures are known to tip boats, and everyone was worried that this was going to be our fate."
So if you know that, then why do I constantly see people riding in the Amazon in videos now. In videos, we've seen people riding, and they be those little boats that be so close to the water. But you know that allegedly anacondas like to come around and like take boats over or tip them over or whatever, and you just seen one. No, I need a yacht-sized boat. Exaggeration, yes, I know, but I need a yacht-sized boat out in that water, fam. I don't need nothing to be able to just push me over. And now once I hit the water, it's over for me. It's over.
We stepped ashore and approached the reptile with caution. It was out of action, but shivers ran up and down its body like puffs of wind on a mountain tarn.
Bet it did.
As far as it was possible to measure, a length of 45 feet lay out of the water, and 17 feet within it, making a total length of 62 feet. Its body was not thick for such a colossal length, no more than 12 inches in diameter, but it had probably been long without food. I tried to take a piece of the skin, but the creature was still alive. Percy managed to escape and reported the encounter. Locals came forward and backed up his claims, saying that other large snakes had been encountered in the area. Something to note though is that these claims are not believed by scientists, but interestingly around the same time he also went on to claim that he had discovered a new breed of dog that had 2 noses. These reports were debunked and said to be pure fantasy, but it turns out that Percy Fawcett was telling the truth. The double-nosed Andean tiger hound is an extremely rare breed of dog, and people use this as an example of Percy telling the truth. People never believed that the dog existed, but it turned out to be real, so believers in giant snakes have said that perhaps he was telling the truth about encountering a giant snake. It's just we haven't found one yet.
I don't need to.
One of the most giant land creatures of the ancient world that according to some people still resides deep in the jungles of the Amazon rainforest is Titanoboa.
Yep.
Scientists have found ancient fossils of Titanoboa that indicate this massive snake could grow to a length of up to 42 feet. According to researchers, the fossils of Titanoboa are around 60 million years old. However, many locals from the native tribes claim to have seen the monstrous snake in various parts of the Amazon rainforest.
Well, those people should consider themselves lucky. To see and live to tell about it, definitely lucky.
Scientists believe that the vast, unexplored jungles of the Amazon rainforest are home to many undiscovered species, and amateur researchers have said that Titanoboa could be one of them. The Amazon rainforest is so dense that sunlight is unable to reach 95% of the soil in the rainforest. The closely grown trees and plants block the sunlight from reaching the soil. Moreover, there are hidden places in the Amazon rainforest where flash floods happen quite often. Some native tribes still believe this monstrous snake lives near the waterways in the Amazon rainforest. There are many people belonging to the native tribes of the Amazon rainforest and its surrounding areas who claim to have seen a Titanoboa. However, some animal experts have dismissed these sightings, saying that they're of the opinion that it's possible that many of these sightings were actually some of a large snakes like anaconda. The only other explanation that exists to explain away these sightings is that every other person is overestimating the sizes of these snakes. Something that could happen is when these creatures are close up, they can appear larger than what they actually are.
Well, that's why you shouldn't ask me, because if you ask me, every huge or big snake look like a Titanic boa to me. You know what I mean? So don't ask me.
Amateur researchers who have looked into these cases believe that giant snakes do exist in the remote regions of our jungles. It's been reported in the past and believed by many that there exists a strange undiscovered tribe, known as the Maricoxi, within the dense jungles of the Amazon rainforest. Unlike previously reported stories of uncontacted human tribes from around the world, the Maricoxi are unlike any other in that many of the witness reports surrounding the Maricoxi claim them not to be entirely human. Back in 1914, the previously mentioned Percy Fawcett claimed to have come across a strange tribe that were extremely hairy, lived in villages constructed from primitive materials in the jungle, and used bows and arrows to help them hunt and fight back invaders. They were described as being similar to that of mysterious bipedal creatures, only speaking and communicating with each other in primitive grunts, and residing northeast of a well-known tribe known as the Maxabu. Given the fact that many of the uncontacted tribes in the region appear to have origins tens of thousands of years into the past, many claim that perhaps these Maricoxi are part of the last living tribes of Neanderthals in the modern day. Others believe they could be a hidden village of mysterious people, moving whenever they're discovered to more denser and more undiscovered regions. Today, not much else is known about these ape-like people and their hidden tribe within the jungle regions of South America, though many are still on the lookout, hoping to discover a newly constructed village and provide proof as to their existence.
For what? Leave them alone. Leave them alone. Only thing you know that or need to know about them is that they're possibly out there and they are some of the greatest survivors ever. That's what I think about. Being in the Amazon or in the jungle or somewhere and you're surviving all of these years. Yeah, that's unmatched to me.
Given the dense jungles of the Amazon, it's believed that there's a number of indigenous populations that have yet to make any form of contact to the outside world. This does appear to be a recurring theme with small tribes, however, as many modern-day efforts to preserve a native population are taken to prevent the spread of illnesses, or making any form of contact that could lead to a dangerous response. Researchers believe that there may be more than 100 uncontacted tribes within Peru alone. Evidence of these tribes have been gathered via the use of aerial footage, and claims of reported encounters with native tribes all throughout the region. Given the fact that these tribes tend to reside in the most remote and densest part of the jungles, coupled with modern-day efforts to prevent further deforestation and exploration into different parts of the jungle, contact with these tribes are not expected to occur anytime soon. The origins of many of these tribes have been shrouded in mystery, however, with a number of strange recorded behaviours that leave many wondering the mental status to their villages. Officials have said that it's important that we protect these tribes, and that we don't do anything that would affect their way of life. This was reflected when the president of the Amazon Conservation Team said there's many lost tribes scattered throughout the Amazon, and these indigenous groups have gone out of their way not to contact people. Evidence has also shown us that contacting these tribes has devastating effects. After certain groups contacted the Nuka tribe, it was reported that 50% of them had perished, and 80% of the Akuro tribe, which can be found in the northeast of the Amazon, had also perished. This is worrying, as conservationists said that many of these tribes actually start to fall apart when certain members pass away, and in turn much of the history of these tribes are lost.
And we think we're just doing research. Oh, we need to get in contact with them, in touch with them, get around them so we can research them and see their way of life and their culture and how they do this and survive and stuff like that, when all we're doing is bringing harm to them.
They noted though that it's likely we're going to contact these tribes either way, but said it likely won't end well. One tribe that caught the attention of these researchers was that of the Caranjonas. This in turn caused the Amazon conservation team to study how they lived. After observing them, it was said that they were skilled at rowing canoes while standing, wrapping their chests in beaded belts, piercing their nose with animal bones, and eating people.
Is Professor Avi Loeb. He is a professor of science at Harvard University and one of the leading voices on the subject of UAPs. Professor Loeb, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So I first wanted to ask you about this shakeup in leadership at the...
I like Professor Loeb. He tell it like it is. You know what I mean? He don't mind calling you out. I like him. He's a straight shooter.
All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, where Deputy Secretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks will now oversee the office. Why do you think the Pentagon made this change?
Well, first, it's fantastic news because it means that it's a higher priority item for them, possibly because the Congress found some interesting information that was hidden from view until recently. And it means that it's a high priority, meaning that it either has national security implications or something that is of great interest to scientists. Maybe they have evidence for something that came from outside of this earth. Either way, it's a good development. And I hope that if it's the latter, if it has nothing to do with national security, but more with science, that we will be given access to that information. Scientists like myself that work with open data, because I would be delighted to help government figure it out.
So this new website that will provide declassified information on UFOs, is this a sign the military is taking accountability when it comes to UAPs?
Yeah, it means also that people are encouraged within the military to report, because now it will be public and it will not be stigmatized anymore. So it means there is something out there, and maybe they don't know what it is, maybe they do, but at any event, we hope to get to the bottom of it. And my hope is that if there's anything that is of interest to scientists, that they will share it with people like me. I would be delighted to be engaged and help them resolve those mysteries.
Yeah, certainly fascinating information. So the Pentagon said it's looking into interviews that former intelligence officer David Grush had with about 40 witnesses. What's your take on some of the claims that he's made?
Well, we have to see the evidence. I mean, I trust that he heard those reports from people, stories, but it's really all about seeing the materials that he's talking about, because those people who spoke with him may be talking about something that doesn't exist. We don't know that. You know, personally, as a scientist, I realized that the sky is not classified, the oceans are not classified. So I went to the Pacific Ocean a couple of months ago to retrieve materials from the first interstellar object that exploded there a decade ago. And we found the materials, we analyzed them over the past 2 months. And this week we reported the results. Definitely material that was made outside the solar system. So the next question is whether it was technological in origin. And if so, where did it come from? Does it have any postal address that we can look for? And that will be the subject of studies that we do in the coming months. I'm just trying to figure out if we can find something new, you know, from the bottom of the Pacific Ocean before we learn it from the US government in Washington.
Now, I was hoping that David Grush would have more than just a reference to a conversation that he had with 40 people. I was hoping he even had more, and I was hoping he was just saving it, you know what I mean? To where, okay, y'all did this to me, but what about this? And hit him right over the head with this type of information. That's what I was hoping he was gonna do, but it seems like it's kind of dying down a little bit. Maybe they got his arms tied behind his back and he can't do certain things. Maybe he needs to be able to talk to somebody in the right setting to have no repercussions. I don't know.
Certainly, we all want to know. And you recently had a conversation with News Nation's Elizabeth Vargas about the discovery your team made on the interstellar meteor found in the ocean. Let's listen to the clip and then we'll come back for a question.
More interestingly, this object was moving really fast, faster than 95% of the stars in the vicinity of the sun. And moreover, it had material strength that was tougher than all other space rocks recognized by NASA over the past decade.
So you say it had material strength tougher than any space rocks recognized by NASA. Would you mind further expanding on that, as well as outlining the significance, in your view, of this discovery?
Iron, magnesium, titanium.
Right, so this object was moving very fast through the atmosphere, and it was able to sustain very high stress as it went down to the lower atmosphere. And we calculated that it must have been tougher than even iron meteorites, because otherwise it would have exploded very high up in the atmosphere. And of course, all of that relies on the measurement by the US Space Command, by satellite data of the speed of this object, which the US Space Command confirmed at the 99.999% confidence in an official letter to NASA back in March 2022. So given that measurement, it looks like this composition of the object was unusual, and indeed we found it in the laboratory. Actually, right now I'm thinking about trying to reproduce this meteor, perhaps in the laboratory. If we know we have the ingredients, just like in a recipe for a cake, you can mix them together and see what you get. And so I look forward towards trying to reconstruct the material that this meteor was made of.
Well, you're always so passionate. It's a pleasure to speak with you always. Professor.
Sounds like the Pentagon. They're over there trying to recreate or reverse engineer something too as well, right?
Avi Loeb, thank you for joining us.